Segment 4, René Girard and the Modern World. From your most recent book, Archivé Clausewitz, to be published in this country under the title Battling to the End. Quote, history, you might say, is a test for mankind, but we know very well that mankind is failing that test. Explain.
Mankind is failing that test because mankind has the truth in the reality of Christianity, which is there, and this truth has been there for 2,000 years, and instead of moving ahead and becoming more widespread, today it's becoming more restricted. Christianity is less and less popular every day, and is accused of all sorts of things, which smell very much like a scapegoating process.
Well, all right. So in the contemporary setting, we have Christopher Hitchens saying that Christianity is responsible for all kinds of evils.
Yeah.
It's the usual catalog.
Yeah.
I don't mean to demean Christopher's argument. He's a man of integrity, but the
Yes.
religious warfare, on and on. And
That's right.
you say no, that's not Christianity. It is
Yeah,
what?
but it is an effort to restore, if you want, the mythical world, which doesn't perceive itself as it should.
To unite by way of a common antagonism, and then to do violence to the other. Mm-hmm. What we see in the religious warfare, what we see in communism, is a reemergence of the ancient pattern.
What we see in human society as a whole, in a way, people always unite around victims. But in order to unite solidly, they must keep believing that these victims are guilty. And they are not. So, in other words, Christianity is the myth that reads all myth, the myth which is read and reads all myth. So people say, you're doing anthropology or you're doing mythology. And I answer, no. I'm showing that to read mythology right and to have the true anthropology are one and the same thing.
From Battling to the End again, Modern World. Personally, I have the impression that Islam has used the Bible, that is, incorporated elements of the Bible, as a support to rebuild an archaic religion. While Christianity eliminates sacrifice wherever it gains a foothold, Islam seems to situate itself prior to that rejection.
Yeah, Christianity, Islam is a big problem for Christianity because it comes after Christianity. And it is intelligent enough and religious enough in a certain sense to use aspects of Christianity that make it more credible than archaic religion. Therefore, but I think it's very important to realize that it's not the same message, really. It seems to be, but it's not the same message. Because the peace and the refusal of violence of Christianity is not there.
And yet you also argue in Battling to the End that terrorism is something new and alien to the classical Islamic tradition.
Yes.
Where does it come from, and what's the correct way for us to think about it?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, well...
This is television. Make up an answer,
yeah.
René.
No, I don't want to make up an answer.
No, of course not.
It's too serious a question, you know, because you're talking about millions and millions of people.
Of course. In some way...
And these people are honest. Now, as a Christian, I would say they are potential Christians. We want to convert each other, and it's a normal thing to do. Mm-hmm. We want all the Muslims to become Christians, just as the Muslims want all the Christians to become Muslim.
Now, in Battling to the End, you argue that the modern world finds itself in a peculiar predicament. The archaic pattern no longer works because it's been exposed. It's impossible to be a genuine pagan. After the Christian event, you just can't go back. It has happened. So it no longer works. At the same time, that is to say, it no longer is genuinely unifying. It no longer is ritualized in myths that people at least half believe. And at the same time, we have the march of technology making the scapegoating mechanism more and more dangerous.
Yes, we have or we might simply say that man has become capable of destroying his own world for good, and to make it unable to support life, to destroy the atmosphere. I take very seriously. Today we live a very strange period, because the apocalyptic texts, the great apocalyptic texts for me, are not the texts which are entitled Apocalypse of John. They are the texts which are at the end of the
Gospels,
of the Synoptic Gospels, especially Luke and
the reading last Sunday.
The
end of the world will
come.
That's right. The end of the world will come, but it is not for you to know the time.
In the old days, I remember before the invention of the atom bomb, priests in church always talked about this apocalyptic text on the last day of the year, of the liturgical year, which was the last day of the time after Pentecost, which was a week ago, and the first day of the Advent, which was an apocalyptic day too. These texts were read, and I remember the time when they were the only thing that impressed me very much in readings at church, and in a way, the inspiration of my whole work is there. I've been talking about these texts all the time.
Well, final quotation from Battling to the End. In some way, the Gospels and Scriptures are predicting that mankind will fail the test of history, since they end with eschatological themes, literally the end of the world. How do you think about the present age? Is this a time of testing? Is it a time of ultimate doom?
Well, look at the apocalyptic text in the Gospel. One thing which is very characteristic is the mixture of the human and the natural. That is the reason why people consider that they are not serious scientifically and so forth and so forth. But look at the times we are living today. If there is a new hurricane in New Orleans, is it nature alone, or is it nature helped by man? So to be in apocalyptic times means precisely that, in my view. The time when you no longer know if it is nature which is hurting you, or if it is man himself who is helping the apocalyptic forces.